The heart of an authentic English cottage garden isn't perfect lines. It's the lived-in magic of things gently gathered and thoughtfully placed. Imagine soft hedgerow textures, meandering paths, and flowers that look like they arrived on a morning walk, cradled in a wicker basket. Sunlight glows across terracotta and lichen-kissed stone, while bees stitch the air with a lazy hum. The look is tender and tactile, velvety rose petals beside feathery fennel, thyme cushions along gravel, and a gate that creaks with friendly welcome. You'll notice patina everywhere, aged clay, weathered oak, and iron flecked with time, each surface catching light and shadow like a favorite story told again. It feels cozy, forgiving, and effortlessly elegant. In this episode, we'll build that feeling step by step, using Foraged Flora, quiet structure, and seasonal rhythm, so your space, big or small, can bloom with timeless charm. If you enjoy thoughtful garden design, please subscribe, like, and comment with your cottage garden dreams. Your ideas help shape future episodes on garden blooms. When you think of an English cottage garden, the style foundation begins with its mood rather than its measurements. It is about softness, a sense of quiet abundance, and the impression that the garden has always been there, gently growing into its space. Every detail whispers age, comfort, and a lived-in grace. The feeling is never forced. Plants lean into paths, roses spill over gates, and herbs weave themselves into borders as if by accident. This freedom creates an unstudied charm, where beauty seems discovered rather than designed. It makes you feel both welcome and at ease, like slipping into an old favorite chair outdoors. To anchor this mood, we'll focus on elements that look authentic, plants with character, materials that tell stories, and structures that serve as gentle backdrops. These foundations are not about grandeur but intimacy, making your garden a natural extension of your home's personality. The true charm of an English cottage garden often begins at the hedgerow. Picture soft clouds of cow parsley, wild roses, and tangled brambles spilling in hues of cream, blush, and deep green. This palette feels foraged, as though borrowed directly from the countryside and woven into your borders with gentle hands. It's not about bright, uniform colors but subtle layering. Pale foxgloves beside dusky lupins, buttery primroses beside smoky lavender. The textures are as varied as the tones, combining feathery seed heads, velvety petals, and wiry stems. Together, they create a patchwork that looks accidental yet deeply harmonious. By using hedgerows as inspiration, you can shape your garden's atmosphere. Every border can feel like a small meadow edge, where softness replaces strict lines. The effect is both wild and refined, charming enough to inspire admiration, yet relaxed enough to invite you to linger with a cup of tea. While a cottage garden may look free and foraged, its beauty relies on hidden structure. Think of winding paths that gently guide your footsteps, edges softened by time or moss, and garden rooms that create intimacy. This geometry isn't rigid, it frames the wildness without taming its soul. Arched gateways, clipped box spheres, and woven willow fences lend quiet rhythm, allowing blooms to feel both supported and spontaneous. The balance between form and freedom is what gives a cottage garden its timeless harmony. Neither wild meadow nor formal parterre, but a dance between the two. When you walk these paths, you sense order in the way the eye travels, yet comfort in the softness of the borders. It feels composed but never strict, like a melody that flows without needing to resolve. This is where structure becomes invisible art, holding the garden's heart together. In a cottage garden, pathways are more than routes, they are experiences. Gravel crunches gently underfoot, stepping stones peek through moss, and the edges blur with herbs like chamomile or creeping thyme. These paths feel natural, as though shaped by footsteps over generations rather than design alone. Each step along these foraged pathways reveals textures and scents. Brushing past lavender or rosemary releases fragrance into the air, while wild violets or daisies surprise you in cracks between stones. The imperfections are what make them so charming. Never manicured, always alive with nature's hand. The feeling is almost storybook, a path curving out of sight, promising discovery around each bend. Whether leading to a rustic bench, a rose arch, or a hidden corner, these pathways turn the simple act of walking into a sensory journey of sound, smell, and touch. One of the secrets to the English cottage look is planting in thoughtful layers. Tall spires of foxgloves and hollyhocks create height at the back, while mid-sized shrubs and roses fill the middle, and ground covers like thyme and violas knit everything together. This layering feels abundant yet balanced, like a natural tapestry. The repetition of shapes and colors, what gardeners call drifts, is key to this charm. Rather than a single lonely plant, you see clusters of the same bloom weaving through borders, creating rhythm and harmony. It feels spontaneous, but it's actually an art of gentle repetition. Standing in such a garden, you feel surrounded by texture and depth. Your eye rises and falls across heights, pausing on tall blooms, then resting on low carpets of color. This layered structure not only looks beautiful but also makes the garden feel more immersive and alive. An authentic English cottage garden is never static. It evolves with the seasons. Spring brings primroses, daffodils, and tulips, filling borders with freshness and soft cheer. By summer, wild poppies, cornflowers, and cosmos spill their colors freely, creating a meadow-like abundance that feels both lively and timeless. As autumn arrives, seed heads, asters, and late roses extend the charm, blending faded hues with glowing warmth. Even in winter, the garden holds beauty. Frosted grasses, holly berries, and evergreen hedges ensure the space remains alive with quiet texture. Every season is part of the story, not just the high bloom. Walking through a cottage garden across the year feels like leafing through chapters of a beloved book. Each season brings its own surprises, its own mood, and its own invitation to linger. This succession is what makes the garden not just beautiful, but deeply comforting over time. What gives a cottage garden its timeless authenticity is not just the plants but the materials that surround them. Weathered wood, moss-streaked stone, and softly rusted iron bring a sense of age and permanence. They look as if they've been part of the garden for centuries, quietly supporting its story. A wooden gate bleached by sun, stone steps softened with moss, or an old iron arch draped in roses, all these elements carry character. They remind us that beauty isn't about perfection but about patina, texture, and the comfort of things well worn. This lived-in quality deepens the charm. As you move through the garden, these rustic details make every corner feel authentic. Each surface catches light in unique ways: stone glowing at dusk, iron warming under morning sun, wood rich with shadow. They frame the plants and make the whole space feel rooted in history. An English cottage garden is never just for people, it's a sanctuary for wildlife too. Bees hover from blossom to blossom, butterflies dance across borders, and birds find food and shelter among hedges and seed heads. This gentle coexistence makes the garden feel alive in every sense. The soundscape is just as important as the sights. The low hum of pollinators, birdsong weaving through branches, and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. These layers of life add richness, reminding us that a true garden is a shared habitat, not a solitary stage. By encouraging wildlife, through nectar-rich flowers, bird baths, and wild corners, you create a deeper bond with your space. Watching life thrive around you brings comfort, joy, and the sense that you are part of a living ecosystem, not separate from it. You don't need sprawling land to capture cottage charm. Even a balcony or courtyard can hold the essence of foraged flora. With potted roses, trailing ivy, and herbs tucked into clay pots, the same sense of intimacy and abundance can be created in a scaled-down form. In small spaces, every detail counts. A rustic bench against a wall of climbing jasmine, terracotta grouped in clusters, and lanterns for evening light. All of these create a cottage mood without overwhelming the area. It feels cozy, inviting, and perfectly tailored for daily use. Standing in such a space, you're surrounded by fragrance, texture, and warmth, even in just a few square meters. It proves that the spirit of the English cottage garden isn't about size, but about feeling, bringing comfort and beauty wherever you are. The charm of a cottage garden lies not only in its design but in how it is cared for. Maintenance is gentle and mindful, more about guiding than controlling. Deadheading roses, tying in climbing stems, and lightly pruning hedges keep the space tidy without erasing its natural ease. Many tasks feel like rituals, gathering spent blooms for drying, collecting herbs for the kitchen, or leaving seed heads for birds through winter. These small acts tie you closer to the rhythm of the garden, making care a source of comfort rather than a chore. The result is a garden that looks lived with, not just looked at. Its beauty comes from balance, attention without fussiness, effort without rigidity. Walking through such a space, you sense both the gardener's touch and nature's freedom, weaving together in timeless harmony. An English cottage garden built with Foraged Flora is more than design. It's a way of life. It's about finding beauty in imperfection, layering plants with care, and letting rustic materials tell their story. Every path, every bloom, every bird call becomes part of a living tapestry of timeless charm. As we've seen, cottage gardens are not about rules, but about rhythm. From seasonal wildflowers to mossy pathways and rustic gates, each detail invites you to slow down, breathe deeply, and feel at home in nature's company. It is an aesthetic that soothes as much as it inspires. If you've enjoyed this journey, I invite you to subscribe, like, and comment below with your favorite garden detail or memory. Your support helps our Garden Blooms community flourish, and your stories inspire others to bring their own gardens to life.